National Report Court is back in session. Today's case is one we first told you about last week. New York City now suing more than a dozen charter bus companies, accusing these companies of illegally transporting tens of thousands of migrants from the southern border to NYC under the direction of Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
How about that? The lawsuit seeking $700 million to cover the costs of caring for an estimated 33,000 migrants that have arrived in the city since 2022, at least by bus. We're taking up the case today for National Report Court with Geoffrey Nathan. He's an attorney, and Randy Zellin, a criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on. So for the purposes of today's segment, Geoffrey, if you don't mind representing the city of New York, and Randy, if you could defend the bus companies. We'll start with New York. Mayor Eric Adams addressing this lawsuit in a recent press conference. Let's play a bit for you right now. Watch.
These companies have violated state law by not paying the cost of caring for these migrants. And that's why we're suing to recoup approximately $700 million already spent to care for migrants bused here in the last 2 years by the state of Texas. Governor Abbott's continuing use of migrants as political pawns is not only chaotic and inhumane, but makes clear he puts politics over people.
Obviously using rhetoric to hit back on the governor of Texas, Geoffrey, but talk to us about the lawsuit itself, if you could walk us through this case.
Sure. What New York's trying to do is just go after the E&O coverage of the transportation companies. That's the errors and omissions clause in their insurance. So it's kind of a smart tactic. They're jamming them up that you try to get a settlement in civil court because none of the defense lawyers for the carrier is going to do anything except throw them an offer and say, look, here's a few bones, now go away. So it's a pretty smart move, the way I see it, for the city to go after the bus company, because really what they're going after is just their call it their malpractice insurance. We call it errors and omissions in the coverage. So I think it's a pretty slick move that the mayor's putting on there, frankly.
Well, Governor Greg Abbott sees it a lot differently. As you can imagine, he responded on X, formerly Twitter, saying Biden, not Texas, is the cause of this crisis in our cities across the nation. Instead of a baseless lawsuit against Texas's migrant transportation mission, Mayor Adams should call on Biden to secure the border. But Randy, this is the bus company's problem now. Could you weigh in on the defense?
Just when I thought it was appalling enough that Governor Abbott was shipping migrants off to New York, the race to the bottom continues, because Mayor Adams knows full well all he is doing is threatening to bankrupt these bus companies who are in the business of delivering people from one destination to another, because he can't sue Governor Abbott. What he will do is he is sending a message to every bus company that if you do business with the state of Texas, we will sue you. We don't pay for lawyers. You will have to pay for lawyers even if you have insurance coverage. If the insurance company doesn't disclaim or deny coverage, you'll run out and you'll have to worry about excess where you'll be paying your own way. So this is a not so thinly veiled attempt to make sure that Governor Abbott will himself, in his own private car, have to drive the migrants to New York.
Yeah, they will have to choose, these bus companies. Do they take the jobs that are offered up and make that money, or do they spend the money within the court system, potentially losing there? Where's the greater loss? Now, parts of the suit here, Geoffrey, include this, that the bus companies alleging that they themselves are operating in bad faith. The lawsuit going on to say, quote, they are receiving more for their services than it would cost to buy a one-way ticket from Texas to New York on a regularly scheduled bus. According to public reporting based on data obtained under the Texas Public Information Act, the defendants receive roughly under $1,700 per person on chartered buses compared to $291 for a single one-way ticket. So how does this play into the case, Geoffrey?
Well, they're taking a huge risk of transporting people that don't belong in the United States. I mean, they could be criminally prosecuted for what they're doing. The bus companies is lucky they're only getting sued civilly. I mean, they're picking up the slack for what the federal government should be doing, which is turning around, booting these people out of the country, putting them back where they come from. They got no business being in the United States. They know that. They know they're committing crimes by coming here. And by the way, I'm just saying this as a matter of fact. It's a violation of the law for these people to be in the United States illegally. They are not in the United States legally. And so the bus companies, if they're forced to take these people, they got to get paid commensurate with the risk that they're taking to their chart, to their license plate, to the drivers that got to care for them. So I basically think if they're getting that kind of money, you know what? That's what they should be getting, because they're picking up the slack for what the federal government should be doing. That's the crisis here.
Sure.
That's the real McCoy.
All right. Okay, great argument. Just got to hop in here. We don't have much time left. We showed this quote, though. This is one of the charter companies speaking to the Associated Press saying, we don't make policies. We're just a transportation company. And with that, Randy,
Right.
I'll give you the floor. Final thoughts. Randy Zealot.
The moment the governor opens the bus door and says, please take a seat, the argument that they are there illegally and the bus company knows it goes right out the window.
All right. We'll leave it there. Guys, great arguments on both sides. Stay with us because we wanted to welcome in GOP strategist Flip Badeau. He's been listening in from our studio, going to play judge and jury. Flip, where do you land on this one?
Well, you know, it was very eloquently argued, although I think both sides were effectively arguing in defense of the bus companies. So I tend to fall on that side of the equation as well. So, you know, I'll rule not only in the bus companies' favor, but order that Mayor Adams pay the bus companies' court costs.
We got to leave it right there. National Report Court is adjourned.